Hey guys, so for our lesson for today, we are going to be looking at Everyday Mathematics, lesson 5.8. We're looking for near square facts. So we're going to be looking at what are our square facts and how can we use them to help us to solve some of our problems. So your assignments are math boxes. You have a time page and a elapsed time page. We haven't done these in a little bit, but I want to practice this because we need to get back into doing those elapsed time problems so that we can get better at them. And we have extra math that you're going to do as well. So our goal for today is I can solve multiplication problems that are square numbers. Like I said, we're going to be doing a page on time, elapsed time, and I want to go over how it is that we are going to solve this problem. So most of you guys did a really good job on this, but I do know that it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes we do well, sometimes we don't do well as well on this type of question. So Evelyn started her homework at 4:10. She finished her homework at 5:45. How long did Evelyn spend on her homework? So what I know from this problem is that she started at 4:10. Here's my number, and 5:45. This word started is going to be one of my keywords, and finished is another keyword. My question is, how long did she spend on her homework? Now, this question is asking how long. That means that I'm going to have not a time, but I'm going to be looking at minutes and hours, if that's the case. So when we're looking at how long something lasts, we're going to be looking at finding the number of hours and the number of minutes. So the way that I want to do this is by using a number line so that I can put my start time, 4:10, and I can put my finish time, 5:45. So I want to make jumps that are going to be easier to count by. I can count by making a change in the hours, or I can usually jump by tens. As I get better at counting time, then I might be able to count by 15 or 20. Whatever is going to be easiest for you, we're going to show counting by tens just to make sure that we can see all of the jumps. So my first thing is I want to jump an hour, because if I start at 4:10, in 1 hour it'll be 5:10, and I'm not to my end time yet. So this is 1 hour. Now I want to get from 5:10 to 5:45. I can't jump another hour because that would put me at 6:10. So I want to start jumping by tens. So I'm going to go 10 minutes, and that's going to be 5:20. Another 10 minutes will be 5:30. Another 10 minutes will be 5:40. And I'm going to stop here because if I go another 10 minutes, it's going to put me at 5:50, which is more than my end time. So to go from 5:40 to 5:45 is just 5 minutes. So now that I know how many minutes and hours, I'm going to add up the hours, and I can see that she had worked for 1 hour, and then I'm going to add in my minutes. So I've got 10, 10, 10, and 5. When I add those together, it's 10, 20, 30, and then 35. So Evelyn spent 1 hour and 35 minutes on her homework. Like I said, most of you picked the correct answer. Some of you picked some of the other ones. This is another problem, and just like what I had said earlier, last problem, we had a lot of you that did really well. This one, only 9 people got this wrong, right? So this tells me that maybe we're not quite where we need to be for our elapsed time, which is why I wanted to practice it today. So it says Katie and her sister started acting class at 4:30. Her class ended at 8 o'clock. How long were Katie and her sisters in class? So again, I'm going to look at my numbers. I can see 4:30. I can see 8 o'clock. I know that she started at 4:30 and ended at 8 o'clock. And my question is, how long were they in class? And again, we're looking at how long. That tells me I'm going to need hours and I'm going to need minutes. So I want to go right into solving this by drawing my number line. When we do these on Evaluate, this is one of those questions that you need to do on a piece of paper because you're going to need to draw your number line to count from the beginning when they started to the end. So in the beginning it was 4:30 and then it lasted till 8. So I'm going to start with my hours because those are my biggest jumps and I want to be able to make big jumps to get closer to my end and not have to make a bunch of little 10 jumps. So from 4:30, 1 hour is going to be 5:30. Another hour will be 6:30. Another hour will be 7:30. If I did another hour, it would be 8:30, and I end at 8 o'clock, so that's not going to work. So instead, I'm going to go from 7:30 to 8. Some of you may realize that if we're at 7:30, we do 30 more minutes, then it's 8 o'clock. If you're not quite there yet, you could do some small jumps. So this would be 7:40, 7:50, and then 8 o'clock. So I made jumps of 10. And my times would be 7:40, and then 7:50, and then 8 o'clock. So there are all of our jumps. We're at the end. I'm going to put in my hours. So I add these hours and I get 3 hours. And I'm going to add up my minutes, 10, 20, 30. So it is 3 hours and 30 minutes. The girls were in acting class for 3 hours and 30 minutes. All right. Callie knows that 7 times 9 is 45. How can she use 7 times 9 as a helper fact to figure out 8 times 7? So in this lesson, we're going off the fact that we have memorized our square numbers, and we're still working on our square numbers, but we already know that it equals 49. I want to know how I can use 7 times 9 or 7 times 7 to solve 8 times 7. So tell me, what strategy do you want to use to solve this problem? So for me, one thing that I can see is that she has 7 groups of 7, and that makes 49. I'm going to write this out. 7 groups of 7 equals 49, but she needs 8 groups of 7. So I'm going to use this 7 groups of 49, and 7 groups of 7 is 49, and I'm going to add another group. And remember, my groups are 7. So I'm going to add 49 plus 7. 9 times 7 is 16. 9 times 7, 9 plus 7 is 16. When I carry the 10, I'm going to have 1 and 4 tens, so that makes 5 tens. 8 times 7 is 56. For this strategy that I use, this is the add a group. You could use any of the other strategies except for subtract a group. Subtract a group wouldn't work. But if you had said equal shares, if you had said draw a picture, if you had said skip count, any of those would work. But add a group is how I solved it here. All right, so again, this lesson is all about those square numbers. And square numbers are when we multiply and the products or the factors, the two numbers we multiply, are the same. So when I do 0 times 0, I get 0. When I solve 1 times 1, I get 1 right here. When I solve 2 times 2, I get 4. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm actually going to skip this. I don't like this multiplication table because the 0 kind of messes me up because we're not counting 0 in there. So I'm going to try this again. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 square. 2 times 2 is 4 squares. So let me change my pen. I'm going to use this one. 2 times 2 is 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I can do 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is going to be 9 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to do one more. 4 times 4 will look like this. And that is 16. Now, all of these are squares because they are equal on all the sides around. So if I'm looking at my 2 by 2, 2 times 2, then I have 2 across, 2 down, 2 across, 2 down. If I'm looking at my 3s, then I'm going to have 3 across, 3 down, 3 across, 3 up. So those are all equal sides to make them squares. All of these blue numbers are the square numbers. So this is 1, this is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49, 8 times 8 is 64, 9 times 9 is 81, and 10 times 10 is 100. These blue are all square numbers, and they create this diagonal right down the middle of our multiplication grid. So I want to watch this short video about square numbers. You multiply a number by itself, just like 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9, a square number. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 21. 12 times 12 is 144. We are square numbers. Multiplying numbers by yourself, you get a square number. 1, 4, 9, and 16. 25, 36, and 49.
64, 81, 121, 44. We square numbers, multiply a number by itself, you get a square number.
Okay, so we're going to use this to help us to solve these problems. And my first one that I have is 6 times 6. If you're not sure what 6 times 6 is, it's a square number, but if you're not sure, we're going to look at splitting this or doing one of our other strategies of add a group. So one of the things that we could do is to double it. So if I split 6 in half, then I have 3 and 3. I'm going to find the area of this rectangle by multiplying 3 times 6. And I can figure that out that it's 18. If I know that this square is 18, then I know that this one is also going to be 18. So I can do my doubling by saying 18 plus 18 equals 36. My helper fact that I use, the one that I solved to try to help me, is this 3 times 6 equals 18. This is one way to use this to solve this problem. This is my doubling, the strategy for doubling. Now, there's another way we could do it. We could look at a number that is close to one of these numbers. So in 6 times 6, I know that 5 is close to 6. So I could say 5 times 6 equals 30. That means I have 5 groups of 6. But I need 6 groups of 6. So I have to add another group of 6 to my 30 to get 36. This is add a group strategy. Now, my helper fact that I use is this one right here. I didn't know 6 times 6, but I used another fact to help me. So my helper fact becomes 5 times 6 equals 30. Okay, let's look at another problem. 9 times 7. We can look at it and see if we can double it. Well, 7 is odd and 9 is odd, so I can't use the doubling strategy. But I could change this 9 to a 10 and make it 10 times 7 equals 70. And when I look at it, I have 10 groups of 7, but really my problem was 9 groups of 7. So I need to go from 10 groups to 9 groups, so I'm going to subtract a group of 7. 70 minus 7 is 63. The fact that I used to help me to solve 9 times 7 is my 10 times 7. This is my helper fact. 10 times 7 equals 70. Let's look at another one. 3 times 9. Again, I could think about doing doubling, but 9 is odd and 3 is odd, so I will not be able to use the doubling strategy. I see that I have 10, so I'm going to use the fact 3 times 10 equals 30. And when I look at this, I have 3 groups of 10, but I need 3 groups of 9. So I'm going to have to look at it as I'm getting rid of one of my 3s. So I don't have 10 3s, I have 9 3s. So I'm going to take away 3. 30 minus 3 is 27. My helper fact is the 3 times 10. equals 30. Okay, another one, 8 times 9. So again, I've got to look at my numbers. I have 8 and 9. I could use doubling here because 8 is an even number. So I could split this in half and have 4 and 4. If I know that 4 times 9 is, then I can solve this. 4 times 9 is 36. The top is 36, the bottom is 36. So I would add 36 plus 36, and that equals 72. So my helper fact is what I put in my box to help me get my answer. Now, if you don't know 9 times 4, another way that you could do it is to look at the facts and see if we can find one that is close. So instead of doing 8 times 9, I'm going to do 8 times 10, and that equals 80. But I don't need 10 groups of 8, I need 9 groups of 8. So I'm going to get rid of one of my 8s, and that leaves me with 72. This one is the subtractor group strategy. This is the subtractor group strategy. And my helper fact is what I use to get there. 8 times 10 equals 80. That's what I use to help me get to my answer. Okay, so for your assignment, you are working on math boxes and you are doing a time page. Remember, you need to solve using a number line. And after you finish that, then you have your math facts to practice on iExcel.